this is Chloe from Cousin DIY. Today I'm going to show you how to make this beaded succulent plant. It is one of the favorite projects I've made lately. It looks almost real. And I made a little hanger for hanging it. Let's get started. The first step is to make the hanging succulent. For that I use these little crackle beads and a 24-inch length of 28 gauge wire. So we will wire a bead onto one end, and we're going to bring that bead back up around and back down through the bead one time to anchor it. Then we're going to add 13 more beads spaced approximately a ½ inch apart. So for the first one I'll use a ruler, and then that will be my guide. So slide another bead on. Find about a ½ inch of space. Bring that wire back up through the bead. And we'll continue adding these crackle rounds spaced approximately a ½ inch apart until we have 14. Okay, that's how it looks when you're finished. So you've got plenty of wire up here. And I pre-made 15 of these, and I just tied a knot to tie those all together. I'm going to set those aside for now. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a stem. The first step is to cut an 8-inch length of 24 gauge wire. Then take your round nose pliers and form a tiny little spiral in the end. Just ever so tiny to hold your beads onto the end of the wire. The first bead that goes on is a Swarovski bicone. It comes from a mix of bicones that has 3 different shades of color, and we're going to use all of these. So put a bicone, then you're going to put on one of these little acrylic ovals that look kind of like a leaf, or in this case, a little succulent. And then a dark green E-bead. Once you've got those all on there, oh, and the E-beads came from this combination of strands. I chose this dark green color. Once you have those 3 beads on, then you bring that wire back around, and you're just going to go through that E-bead one more time to anchor all these beads onto the wire. And we're going to pull that nice and snug, and it will look like this. We're going to need 90 of these for this project. So I've pre-made 89. And we're going to divide them into 3 groups of 30 stems each. I'm going to gather them together. This is 30. I'm going to make sure they're all approximately at the same level up here at the top. And then I'm going to twist the stems like this. This will help to hold them together. I'm going to do the same with the other 2 groups of 30. So now we have 3 groups like this. I'm going to set those aside for now. And this is the pot I'm using today. I couldn't find a terracotta pot and saucer, another one like I used in my original one. So I found this and I thought it would work. The first step is to take some little accent rocks, these little chips, these little rock chips, and put some in the base. So the next step is to take the beaded strands, there's 15 of them, and play around with placing the knot in the bottom of the pot so that the first bead on each strand will fall just over the lip of your plant pot. So I'm going to make another little knot here. I'm going to put that knot down into the middle of the plant. And then I'm going to take the time to separate these into 3 groups of 5. At this point, I'm going to put some more filler beads in here. And I'm going to try to put enough in to hold these in place. Oops. And lastly, we're going to take these 3 groups of stems and we're going to, once again, we're going to place those in the pot, and each one will be positioned between each group of hanging strands. And you want to play around with these wires. It's helpful to have these tails because that's going to help give the rocks something to anchor in place. And the last one will go right here between these 2 groups of 5. Now we're going to fill with more rocks. We really want to anchor these in the plant pot. Then you can play around with the ends of all these succulent stems. I'm going to cut 6 3-foot lengths of cord and I'll be right back. I have 6 3-foot lengths of cord, approximately 3 to 4 inches from one end. I'm going to tie a double overhand knot. So that's just 2 overhand knots. There's 1. There's 2. Next, I'm going to separate these into 3 groups of 2 cords, trying to select cords that are at the base, they're closest to each other at the base. Next, we have to determine, depending on the height of our pot and the diameter of the bottom, approximately how far up we want to tie So in this case, it's about 6 inches. We're going to separate each group of 2 cords. So we have 3 groups of 2 cords, and we want to tie 1 cord from one group to an adjoining cord from the other group into an overhand knot approximately 6 inches up from the original double overhand knot. We're going to do that all the way around the pot, and we're going to try to get those knots lined up with each other. So here's the first group. This is just a single overhand knot. And I take 1 cord from this group and the remaining cord from this group, and I'm going to tie that into an overhand knot, and I'm going to line it up the best I can with the previous overhand knot. The next step is to separate those. And take your plant pot, and we're going to pull each set of 2 cords up at the same point around the edge. So that's approximately in the middle. This one's going to come up here, so it's to the right of this group of 3 and to the left of that group of hanging stems. And we will pull the next one up here. Make sure that you could make any kind of plant hanger. You can make it out of wire. You could macrame one. The important thing is to make sure you've got the bottom lined up in the middle of the bottom of the pot. and that you've got them evenly spaced around the sides. So let's give that one more check on the bottom. That looks like it's in the middle. So at this point, I am going to gather them all together. And you kind of judge how far up you want that to be. And I'm going to tie them all together in another overhand knot. And we want to make sure that they're hanging evenly. That looks pretty even. And then we're going to decide where we want our top loop. I'm going to make it right around here. And I'm going to tie that. Let's see, what's the best way to do it. Form a loop. Try that again. Form a loop where you want the top to be. And then tie an overhand knot at the base of the loop. Make sure all those strings come back through, all the cords come back through. And the last step is to trim these tails. And you could always put a little spot of glue on this last overhand knot just to make sure that it's not going to come unraveled or untied. And there we have it. At this point you can play with the positioning around the sides. You can play with where the beaded strands fall over the edge till you get it looking the way you want it. I want that to go over there a little bit. I just love this project. And the last thing that you might want to do is go through and trim the little tails off each hanging strand. And you could also fray the bottom of your little tassel underneath your knot at the base of the pot. Or you could cut it shorter. But there you go. If you decide to make your own beaded hanging succulent plant, please share it with us on Instagram at #CreateWithCousin. Can't wait to see what you make. Thank you. Bye.